low Z to high Z line matching transformer. Can you contain your excitement, folks? Or what? Macatelio. Apogee. Knowledge base, well-respected company, but you can find this anywhere. It's an adapter with a female XLR on one end and a male 1/4-inch jack. Original switchcraft there I got from America. It's like back in the day, Fender, innit? On the other end, it connects the low impedance signal of a modern microphone to a high impedance, providing additional gain for optimal signal level into high impedance inputs. Why? What's the practical use? If I may, if you want to plug your mic into an instrument input, guitar, bass or keyboard amplifier, any of those jacks, sockets, or into an old pre-80s type equipment, which have jacks as well, if you don't use a converter, you will suffer low output and muffled tone. Most of you probably don't want to do that, but bear with me. Why would you do the above? Well, an important minority, but important nonetheless, is harmonica players, harp players. I know there's not that many, perhaps, but they're quite keen, a lot of them. And they often like to use something like an old Fender Champ combo, because it distorts a bit. An SM58 into a Fender Champ business. And they might sing through it as well. If you want that old school 50s radio, transistor radio type sound, for that rootsy stuff, that's often what they like. So you'd need a converter. The Fender Champ has a jack socket, high impedance, modern mics, low impedance. Do you want to use any old valve PAs? I'm going to show you mine in just a moment. Back in the day, jack sockets, high impedance again. Do you want to experiment with guitar effects? You need to convert your mic to high impedance with one of these in the jack and out the other side into a guitar amp. Some more stuff. What is this? Impedance, high impedance, low impedance business. What's it all about? What I've got here then is high impedance lines are affected by the inherent capacitance in a cable and over long runs affects frequency response. They can also act like an antenna. The longer the cable, the worse. I think again, like some of these things we've talked about before, as stages got bigger and things changed, trains, the longer and longer cables, you start to get that deterioration in the signal quality, and they act like an antenna, these long cables, and pick up noise. All gets a bit noisy. It went over to low impedance. I'm just talking now practically, you can look this up, but from my experience of it, this must have been around late 70s, 80s when this started coming. I've got these because my original PA, when I was a student, it was, I managed to save up and buy an HH PA from an old boy, and it had high impedance jacks. That was quite some time ago, and it was second hand when I got it, so it was from the high impedance era. So I had these, which I'm going to show you, to use low impedance mics with it. That's how I started to get them, for that reason. Are all transformers equal? We shall find out, but let's have a close-up look first. If you're of a nervous disposition, maybe you should sit down. Maybe get yourself a brandy. Because here they come. My first line matching transformer was this. You need an XLR mic that terminates in a jack, as many did back in the day. Microphone there, low impedance, becomes high impedance into amp. Next was this type, and I got it later on. This one, your mic lead, standard mic lead, XLR there, straight into jack input. This one, you can imagine, if you step on that cable, you're putting quite a bit of leverage on there. And in this version, indeed, it broke. So I took it apart and wired it with a jack. It's the same model. Sorry about nutting the microphone just there. This one has a switch, low, high. Oh, I don't know what that does. I've got it on low, so again, I'm imagining low impedance microphone in, out to a jack. I'm imagining that when you switch this to high, it reverses. This thing's the other way around. It took me many years to notice this, but after a while, on a few occasions, I noticed a hum. And I came to realize that it was the placement of these transformers near to the transformers in the amp, and they were picking up hum if I moved them, but I could never move them far enough because of the length of cable. I'd have to take this out and get a much longer cable so I could put this a long way away from, well, a long way, on the floor, away from the amp. I had to go with this one, which was the best one I could find, reading the specs and so on. Slightly larger. I was hoping for better performance in that regard. Good quality, low impedance, high impedance, but still the problem of the hum and not being able to get far enough away. Finally, in my search, I came across this. Microphone goes in there. On this end, use a regular guitar jack. So the jack goes in there and the other end of the jack goes into the amp. They said various things about it. Resistant to hum, greater bandwidth, and higher signal. We shall see. Have I wasted my money? The glorious Fender PA 100, excuse me, with high impedance jacks. As you can see, 4 channels, just treble and bass and volume. This one 1978, in absolutely fantastic condition. Here's the back. Analog spring reverb for 6L6. Output tubes, 100 watts, basically a Fender twin output with a modified preamp for vocals. Ladies and gentlemen, your reverence, please, for the almighty Fender 160 PS vocal amplifier. I imagine this must be the very finest valve PA ever made, quite extraordinary. Build quality is superb, workmanlike, superb. VU meter. And of course the jacks on the front, high impedance. 1974. Very good condition. I imported this from America had the mains transformer, had the capability of being rewired to UK mains, otherwise you have to carry around a huge transformer, which would be a bit of a nuisance. The valve fuse needs changing. This is disconnected, the ground switch, so it's UK sorted. 160 watts, run by unbelievably only two special valve, 6550A General Electric. These are not, but they really need that specific valve. This isn't the original back, the back was missing, so I made this, put the Fender badge on. It strikes me that the first thing I should do is see, do we really need them at all? So I'm on the road. I've got very similar bayers, very similar sounding, if not identical. And I'm going to kill the road and swap between them. Which one am I on now? Which one am I on now? I'm on this one. I've put the settings the same for both mics. This one is, well, and this is the other one. This is one of them, and this is the other one. This one is the low impedance mic into a high impedance input on the desk, and this is what you get. The additional hiss in these recordings is because I've had to turn things up to get enough signal, and I've turned the road down consequently. This is how it sounds, and this one is with the converter. So immediately you can hear what are the differences. There's obviously more in the intelligibility area of the voice. What about the bottom end? What about the bottom end? For me, knowing this mic, the bottom end has been truncated. Here's without the converter. What about the bottom end? Bottom end. I think the bottom end sounds more because it's obviously up in there and it's very muddy and it's quieter. To get any signal, I have to bring it really pretty close. Back to the one with the converter. I think I noticed a bit of grain in this one. A bit of in there. And with no converter, very dull sounding. And back on the road for a little bit of a comparison. Here we go then. I've got wires all over the place and I hope I don't stuff up. I've chosen 3 of the converters, what I'm going to call the original. The Audix, which is current and probably the best. And then of course the BoostMate, which is current and kind of a bit bespoke. Let's see. I'm on the road at the moment. I've got 3 Bayer M88s going through the 3 different converters. Everything on the desk is set for those 3 the same, so though if there are volume differences you'll hear them, tone differences and so on. And I've had to boost things a fair bit, so there's going to be some hiss, not just from the mixer. I guess we'll just go through them then. Let's get rid of the road. Oh, and finally I've got another M88, which is just going into the normal microphone input, low impedance input. So just at the end we'll choose the best of them and see how it compares to the going straight in if you have the right equipment. I should be on this one. Okay, this is my original. Moving from my original to the Audix. This is the Audix. This is the Audix. Quite a noticeable difference to me already, and I wish I had another hand, but I haven't. And moving from the Audix to the BoostMate. This is the BoostMate. This is the BoostMate. Okay, let me just say what I notice and see if you agree. Actually, we'll just have, needs to go up a bit, doesn't it? We'll just have the XLR input just to remind ourselves what it's like with into the proper channels. This is the original then, the older one. Yeah, what's happening down there? Just not very clear, quite grainy, almost distorted. What happens if I get a bit louder? Sorry about the peaking. What happens if I get a bit louder? Louder, louder, louder. Something about it that's not very, it seems to affect this as well. I mean, we'll get you through a gig, but it's something a bit not very enjoyable. This is the Audix, much better. Don't hear the distortion, maybe a tad. There, maybe a bit. What about the bottom end? Bottom end, bottom end. It's okay, it doesn't feel as low as it might go. Yeah, compared to the original then. This is back on the original, a bit more boo 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 in that, and a bit sunk in the middle, not very clear, likely to get something's not very nice. And this is back on the Audix. Let's move from the Audix to the BoostMate. Still on the Audix, I'm going to turn over now to the BoostMate. This is the BoostMate. This is the BoostMate. This is the BoostMate. Yeah. This is the BoostMate. This is the Audix. Yeah. This is the Audix. So for me, the Audix got a bit more there, a bit papery or grainy or something down around there, and the bottom end. BoostMate, bottom end. BoostMate, bottom end. Audix, bottom end. Yeah, just not so quality, really. On the BoostMate then, this is the BoostMate, and now finally going to the low impedance into the mic input. This is with the BoostMate. Clear some cables away. This is with the BoostMate. This is with the BoostMate. This is directly into the XLR. This is directly into the XLR. Levels are a bit different. Let me tweak. This is directly into the XLR. This is with the BoostMate. This is with the BoostMate. This is the BoostMate. BoostMate. This is the XLR. Slight difference in tone. Older microphone, could it be that? But certainly, if you're going to use a converter and you want the best quality, then out of those that I've got, the BoostMate is it. You have to pay for it though. But once you've paid for it, something I forgot to do here is to test for the hum. This is my original, which I'm going to put close to the transformer on the mixing desk. And I don't hear anything, though I know that this one does create hum, because that's when I first noticed that hum existed in these things. This is the Audix, which I'm going to place close to the transformer. And you can hear it's going to kill the Rode. So you can hear that the Audix hums. I'm going to take the BoostMate, enough cable, and put that, kill the Rode. So nothing at all. Finally, just to be thorough, why not? I've got these two ribbons, which are very similar. Ribbons have the lowest outputs of any of the mics I've got. So I'm figuring that this transformer has got to deal with a very tiny signal. Anything it adds is going to be more noticeable. That is then, everything is then amplified. One of these things with these transformers are very early in the chain, of course, so anything that they leave out, don't reproduce, add, is going to be amplified further down the line. So you want to get the best quality in the chain to start with, I would say. These are low output then, so I'm going to get rid of the Rode. There won't be much signal on these, and we're going to go between the Audix and the BoostMate, so the better of the two, of all that I've got. This is the Audix with the ribbon. The desk's on maximum, everything, the most I can get from it. This is the Audix with the ribbon. This is the BoostMate with the ribbon. This is the BoostMate with the ribbon. This is the Audix with the ribbon. Has it got a bit more up top there and a little bit of grain lower down? This is the Audix. This is the Audix. The Audix is sweeter. This is the Audix with the ribbon. Hope it's been of some use to you and maybe interesting. I hope so. See you again.